Welcome to Raseiniai, home to beautiful nature landscapes that sparked inspiration to some of the most famous Lithuanian poets. You'll find Raseiniai district near the center of Lithuania, next to the highway Vilnius-Kaunas-Klaipėda. Raseiniai is 2 hours away from the capital Vilnius and less than an hour from Kaunas, the second largest city. Population of Raseiniai district reaches just above 30,000. Raseiniai has some interesting places that are worth our attention. Some of the most popular places to visit are Šiluva, a major Catholic pilgrim town, Dubysa Regional Park, popular for hikes and kayaking, homestead of the most famous Lithuanian poet Maironis, and many interesting places to stop by near the highway. But first, let's see Raseiniai town, the center of a municipality. Raseiniai is one of the oldest towns in Lithuania. It is known since the 13th century. Currently, the town's oldest building is a monastery and church next to it, built in the 18th century. However, most of Raseiniai architecture was lost during the Second World War. A large tank battle of around 1,000 tanks took place here between the Soviets and the Nazis in the 1941, where the Nazis broke Soviet defense lines. I guess Raseiniai didn't look like much after 1,000 tanks had been there. But today Raseiniai lives on. There are a few pretty parks such as Rasupis Park with a pond near the church and Central Maironis Park with sculptures. There is Raseiniai History Museum as well, situated in a former Soviet prison. Now let's go to see some of Raseiniai famous nature at Dubysa Regional Park. The regional park is called after the river Dubysa that flows through the district. Its curves and eroded shores created a beautiful landscape throughout the district, and for that it is very popular for kayaking trips. There also are walking and cycling trails along the river, as well as plenty of campsites. There are many places for sightseeing by the river. Let's start upriver, where the most famous spot beside the river itself is situated. It is Lithuaniai Bridge, the longest and the tallest bridge in the Baltics. It is 559 meters long and 42 meters tall. It looks especially great when kayaking underneath it. I still remember it from my kayaking trip there more than 10 years ago. Maybe it's time for another go. For now, the railway bridge can only be admired from afar, but I just read in the news last week that access for visitors to walk the bridge is being built and it will be opened in November this year. Next place to visit is the Homestead Museum of the priest and poet Jonas Mačiulis Maironis. Maironis is probably the most famous poet of all time in Lithuania, who was active during the Lithuanian press ban in the end of 19th century and later. Maironis was essential in Lithuanian national revival movement, and his poems are still beloved by many. He wrote about patriotic themes as well as Lithuanian nature, some poems directly dedicated to Raseiniai and Dubysa River in particular, as he spent all his summers here. That's why there is a cognitive trail named Maironis Path by Dubysa. It is 13 kilometers long one way and is good for hiking and cycling trips. It begins near Regional Park's Visitor Center, which is a good place to get all the information about the park, and then the path leads to a small town down the river, Betigala. Near the town there are some tall hill forts with beautiful views. The legend says that the last Samogitian chief pagan priest was residing here at Betigala hill forts. There also is a shorter trail by the river near Padubysis hill fort. Ravain's nature trail is 3.5 kilometers long and begins at the largest campsite on the Dubysa river bank, next to the hill fort. Although not very long, the path goes up and down the hills, so it can be quite challenging. In return, it provides those pretty views of the Dubysa river valley. The campsite near the hill fort is a good spot too. It's very spacious for camping with a nice access to the river. So far we have seen what's along the river in Raseiniai district, but now let's go see what's interesting along the highway. Raseiniai is a very convenient place to go to for many travelers in the country, as many sites to visit are close to the highway, where everyone is on the way to the seaside, and at least those who go from Vilnius We reach Raseiniai after 2 hours of driving, so many may need a break from the road, and Raseiniai provides some nice places to stop for. First thing the travelers need after a long road is food. Small town Vidukle is famous for koldūnai, dumplings with meat. The town became famous in the 60s when a special recipe was brought to a local canteen by a lady who came back from Siberian exile. The old restaurant is open till now, as well as another restaurant dedicated to dumplings. Further by the road there also is quite an interesting place to visit. Museum of 8-wheeled vehicle. That's a self-propelled 8-wheels vehicle invented by a local self-taught constructor Przemyslovas Neveravičius. The museum also has many other exhibitions of various old vehicles, appliances and knickknacks. If you want a more natural break during the road trip, then there is something here for you too. Molavėnai Hill Forts is a lovely place to spend some time in quiet nature, just 10 minutes away from the road. There are picnic tables and well-made paths to walk all around the hill forts and across a tiny river. It's also a popular place for local events, and there are yearly 6th of July celebrations. Another place to enjoy some nature on the way is Ūkainiai Cognitive Trail in Ūkainiai Forest. It's quite an easy path for a half-an-hour walk in the forest near a swamp. There are various creative wooden sculptures and small towers. Those are especially appreciated by kids. A good bonus is a big campsite with picnic tables, a pond and more sculptures. There also is something interesting at Kryžkalnis. Kryžkalnis is the biggest crossroads in the country, connecting Vilnius-Klaipėda highway and Riga in Latvia to Kaliningrad. There is a large monument by the crossroads, dedicated to Lithuanian partisans who fought the Soviet occupation. There is a chapel and a large wall with names of 20,000 partisans who fought and died for our country. This leads me to another place in Raseiniai district, hidden in its forests, but also very near to the highway. It is the partisan headquarters bunker. Daugeliškiai bunker is reconstructed today and visitors can enter the underground room. There is a nice short walking trail leading to the bunker as well. Last but not least, we go to a small town in the north of the district. It is Šiluva, a well-known place for Catholic pilgrims in Lithuania Regional Park. Most of the regional park is situated in Kelmė district, which also includes a beautiful Baroque monastery not too far from Šiluva. But Šiluva itself is famous as a place of apparition of Virgin Mary in the 17th century, officially acknowledged by the Catholic Church. There is a yearly pilgrim festival in September, bringing thousands of people to the town. Pope John Paul II visited Šiluva as well. There are plenty of religious sites in town, such as Šiluva Museum, Pilgrim Center, Way of the Christ, and of course the churches. The red brick basilica was built in the 18th century in Baroque style. Inside there is a famous artwork of Virgin Mary called Our Lady of Šiluva. There also is a modernist chapel of apparition built in a place where the apparition of Virgin Mary took place. Overall, Raseiniai district is such a beautiful place, although somehow underrated, except of Šiluva, which is very popular in religious tourism. But pretty landscapes of Dubysa Regional Park are so inviting for a trip to the nature, especially for kayaking. I would definitely stop by at some of the places by the highway too, in which future time when I will be on the way to the seaside. So, see you in Raseiniai and thanks for watching.